You create a cast of characters, you build an arc for them. You know that you have to take them on a journey where they're going to experience obstacles and challenges and they're going to transform into better people. But what happens when one of those characters refuses to go along with the plan? Not every character wants to change, and sometimes you can discover this during the plotting stage, but other times you learn this while you're writing your story. And although this may be tragic for your character who does not achieve his goal, it isn't really all that bad for you as a writer. Writing a character that refuses to change could make your story even more interesting. It's an opportunity for you to explore human nature and write from a perspective that might be uncomfortable, but it becomes authentic and captivating for you and your reader. Let's talk about that today. Welcome to the Julie Amante channel. I'm really happy that you're here. I am a women's fiction author and I create videos for writers that are working on their stories. So let's talk about a character who makes life difficult for you. You've created this amazing arc. You're ready for this character to go on this journey to change his life forever, but the character doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to forgive. He doesn't want to change his life. And so now what do you do? Well, before that, let's take a step back a little bit because let's try to understand human nature for a second. People rarely cling to destructive behaviors for no reason. If they are, it's because it's serving something. They're getting something out of this. And so just like real people, sometimes your characters don't want to change because staying the way they are is more beneficial to them than changing. So there's something called the status quo bias. And researchers have found that when a person doesn't want to change or prefer their existing conditions, even though there are better alternatives, it's because people would rather stay with something that's familiar and comfortable, even if it's not ideal, than risk uncertainty. And change introduces uncertainty. So staying with the pain that is familiar to them is preferable than risking change for something that they don't know could be better. It could be better, but maybe it's not. So a character may choose to lose a marriage or a career or a dream because the status quo, staying the way they are, is less frightening to them. And so this fear keeps them stuck in the same place. And another reason is what researchers call cognitive dissonance. And psychologist Leon Festinger proposed that when people's actions conflict with their beliefs, they experience psychological discomfort. So instead of changing that behavior so that it matches their belief, what they do instead is they create a story. Now, they don't do this consciously, but they start to believe this story that they've created about themselves or about others. So let me give you an example from one of my books, Let Us Begin, which is back there. So I based this on a true story of my family, my parents. And throughout this novel, the main character, Salvador, makes a lot of terrible decisions, and these impact his family negatively. Now, his beliefs are that good fathers, good husbands, take care of their families, mostly financially, but they take care of their families. But his behaviors prove otherwise. He does things that shows that he's not taking care of his family. So at one point in the novel, he's traveling from New York to California. He breaks down somewhere in the middle of the United States. His car breaks down and he's kind of stuck. He doesn't have a job. He has no way of fixing this car. So he has enough money to rent a place for like a month or so. And he leaves his wife and his young daughter, his baby daughter, there and gets a train or whatever. He gets back to New York where he knows he can get a job. So he's leaving his wife and child alone in a place where they don't know anybody with no money to work. So he thinks he's being a good husband and dad. It sounds reasonable to him that he's just going to go and work until he gets enough money and then come back for them, which I guess if he had gone back in a few weeks, he would have returned, it would have been fine. But he doesn't do that. He leaves them there without any money, without any support, without any vehicles. And as he's working, he's just living with a bunch of friends that party on the weekends and do all kinds of crazy things that single men do that he shouldn't be doing. And so what's happening here? His behavior is contradicting his belief. So what does he tell himself? He tells himself, I'm not selfish. I'm working hard for my family. Plus, I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a job over there. I had to come back here to where I know I can find a job and make money. And as soon as I get enough money, I'm going to go back and pick up my wife and child. They're better off living there anyways in a house that's safe and it's inexpensive compared to bringing them both here, having to get a place in New York where everything's expensive. So this story that he's telling himself keeps him from feeling guilty. It also keeps him from changing his behaviors. And unfortunately, that keeps him broke and struggling. And if he does this long enough, it's going to keep him from getting his overall goal of being successful, of having a happy family, right? That's going to keep him from changing and transforming into the person, the man that he really wants to be. And the problem with Salvador is every opportunity that he gets to change, he makes the wrong decision and he doesn't change. So he's one of these characters that refuses to change. He refuses to do the thing that makes him uncomfortable in order to be able to change. So instead of becoming heroic by the end of the novel, he's going to become a tragic figure. Okay, and the next problem, number 3, is the self-serving bias. And what this means is that people naturally attribute success to themselves and failure to other people. Again, this is human nature, right? If we understand that, then we understand why a character may not want to change because it's not his fault, it's somebody else's fault. So if you have a character that is continually failing, for example, you might blame his boss, it might blame his wife. It's not his fault. Again, Salvador has this trait, right? He blames everybody but himself for the things that go wrong. It is his boss's fault. It's society's fault that he as an immigrant isn't doing well in this country. It's those people that don't want me to succeed. It's not anything I'm doing. So these type of characters might believe that bad luck just follows them around. I don't know if you've watched the movie Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. It's a pretty crazy movie. He's this jeweler who is deeply in debt and again, makes a lot of crazy decisions. And he thinks he's in debt because he's just unlucky. Right? He makes a lot of unlucky bets and he's just one lucky bet away from really doing well. But what happens? He keeps making bad decisions. And when something does go well, he chooses to keep making risky bets. And so what happens, these type of characters blame everybody else. It's these bad guys that are chasing me. It's that I'm unlucky. And while they keep blaming externally something else, their transformation never begins. And when you reach the end of your novel, again, this becomes a tragic story rather than a heroic story. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be a happy ending. It could still be a happy ending when the character does not transform. However, it's not going to be a happy ending for that character. But it could show the reader the effects of not changing, of not transforming. And the last one in understanding human nature is identity protection. So if you look at modern psychology, what they're going to tell you is that people will protect their identity, even when facts challenge that. So they protect their identity more than themselves. To me, this is fascinating, and I use this with almost every single one of my characters. The character's identity is how he views himself, and it's incredibly important. A character will do almost anything to protect their identity because that's who we think that we are, right? So if we are a nice person, a kind parent, then we'll do anything so that people will continue. So we and other people will continue to see us that way. So let's say that we have an athlete who thinks of himself as healthy and fit. Will this person ever eat fast food or take drugs? Probably not, because that's not part of their identity, right? Unless they are, starving. There's some reason why they're doing that. Most of the time, they're not going to do that because their identity is, I don't do that. I don't eat that type of foods. I don't take drugs. I only put things in my body that make me fit and healthy. So how about a character who sees himself as a successful businessman? Well, he's going to do everything in his power, probably legal and illegal, to maintain that image of himself. He is a successful business person. He may use the cognitive dissonance. He may use some of the other things to maintain his identity. Now, what if your character sees himself as something negative? He sees himself as a victim or sees himself as a worthless loser. What's going to happen is that identity that he has given himself is going to block him from success. So even if positive things happen to him, he won't see it because he doesn't view himself that way. He won't take advantage of those opportunities because that's not part of his identity. And if he does start to become successful or something good does start to happen, he may sabotage it until he changes that identity of himself. He's not going to be able to move forward. And here it's not that your character can't change or that he refuses to change, but because he's built this identity of whatever it is around himself, he's incapable of even seeing that how he could change. And when the evidence threatens that identity, then they reject it. And so this is why my character Salvador, who sees himself as a good father and husband, and his behaviors contradict him, he creates these stories to tell himself, no, this isn't, I really am who I think I am, because he wants to maintain that identity. Again, even though his behaviors contradict that. So understanding that human need of maintaining our identity is super, super important when you're creating your characters. So your character's flaw isn't just their behavior, it is that the flaw becomes part of what that character believes about themselves, and therefore they can't change. They are unable to change. So let's look at the characters. Typically, they fall into 3 different categories. So category 1 is the unaware character. Your character is unaware that they are refusing to change. They don't really see that flaw in themselves. So does Salvador fall into this? Yes, he does. And my newest character from my upcoming novel, Jeremy, is also in that category of they're kind of unaware that if they just changed one little thing, they would be successful. They would reach their goal. So with Salvador, if he stopped trying to make a fast buck, and did things the way he was supposed to, he would have become successful. Jeremy's a different story. His issues are with being unsatisfied with life and with his marriage, and he's unaware of his part, his selfishness in the marriage, and how little he actually supports his wife. And again, when each of these guys are given an opportunity to change, they don't. Jeremy refuses couples therapy. He refuses things that could have turned his marriage around. And the readers in these stories are usually going to see the issue before the character does. In fact, the character may never see it, but the reader sees it. The reader understands that this protagonist is about to jump off a cliff, but he doesn't realize it. And so this is very interesting for readers because they can see what the character can't. The second category is just the fearful character. And this is probably one of the saddest ones because the character does see that he needs to change or that he should change, but he's afraid. He's afraid of the consequences of changing. And so instead, he chooses to remain doing the things that are ruining his life. A character for one of my stories that does fit here would be Margarita in my story, This Is Now. She's a medical student. She's a workaholic. She values independence. She's kind of afraid of relationships because she's witnessed her parents' disastrous marriage and she doesn't want to have anything like that in her life. So she rejects love. But she knows, because she actually is in love with somebody, and she knows that if she doesn't change, she's going to lose the one man that she loves. But fear keeps her from changing. And that's unfortunate because the man that loves her really is a good person. And if she just became open to love, she would have a completely different life. And then I just read Kristen Hanna book, The Great Alone, where the main character, Cora, is an abused wife. And she knows she should change. She knows she should leave him. She has opportunities to leave him. She has people that will help her, but she's afraid. She's more afraid, honestly, to lose his love than she is of getting beat up. And so she stays in this terrible situation when she could easily just leave it. So what happens here is the character sees that they could change. The reader sees that they could change. And so it becomes very sad when the character refuses to change. And what the characters do, they create excuses, they delay their decisions, or they just sabotage themselves. The third category is the choosing character. And these characters can see both paths, right? This happens if I change, this happens if I don't change. And they deliberately choose the one that gets them what they want. So gets them their desired goal. So this is where a lot of villains fit in and some tragic protagonists as well. But the reason that the character doesn't change usually is because they're rewarded for the negative behavior. So if being a thief or being a dirty politician or a corrupt business owner is getting them what they want, whether it's power, whether it's attention, whether it's money, then they might choose not to change. They might know, hey, I am doing this wrong. I could lead to this disaster. It could lead to prison sentences. It could lead to a loss of a marriage or of a job, but it could also lead to a lot of money, or it could also lead to a lot of power. And I'm willing to risk that and continue to do what is wrong and not change because I can get what I want. So what does the reader feel here? So for the last one, they might feel some sympathy for the character that is just too fearful to change. But this one, the reader may actually not feel sorry for them and maybe even hope that the character gets defeated and gets what they deserve. Characters that are under this category could be hurting other people, and honestly, they don't care because they only care about what benefits them. If you've read Steinbeck's East of Eden, the character Kathy Ames falls into this category. She's basically evil. She burns down her parents' house with their parents in them when she's a young girl and goes on to do all kinds of horrible things. She has a brothel. She blackmails the men that come. Again, she's just a really horrible, evil person. And she has no desire to change. She feels no guilt. She feels no remorse. She'll do anything to survive and to profit. And if you haven't read the book, I hear that there's going to be a Netflix series on East of Eden. So you might want to watch that. It'll probably be interesting. So as I end this video, I just want to leave you with this. There are characters that no matter what your initial goal is, may decide that they don't want to change. They want to remain as they are for the reasons that I outlined. It doesn't have to be rational. In fact, most of the time it's irrational, but it doesn't come out of nowhere. A character has a reason. It seems irrational to you, to me, to the reader, but not to the character. The character has a reason for not wanting to change. It's meeting some kind of psychological need in them. So for Kathy Ames, it's control and power. For Cora, the woman that is getting abused by her husband, she still thinks she's doing it to keep the family together. In a really weird, ironic way, it's for safety, right? So that everybody is safe. So she's not hurting anybody else. So she's not leaving him and then going to a friend that's going to help her or a family member that's going to help her, and then he's going to go and ruin their lives, right? So she's trying to keep things together for her family. For Salvador, it's mostly to be significant. It's to protect his own identity, for his own pride. For Margarita, it's to control her independence and control over her life so she doesn't end up in a bad marriage like her parents. So again, all these characters have a reason, and that's what you need to do, right? You can't just say that the character doesn't transform because they don't want to. We need to show as writers why they don't want to, what is causing them, what is that psychological need that not changing is meeting. So for writers, sometimes it's hard to do this. Like, we don't really want to write, at least I don't think we want to write a tragic story. We may not start out trying to write a tragic story, but again, it can be a very interesting story. It can be a learning experience for the reader. It isn't our job really to try to judge our characters. It's more to try to understand them and to explain them to the reader. So even the most frustrating character that you create that doesn't want to change has a reason for doing the things that they're doing. And if you can explain it, you're going to create a very authentic character that your readers will probably not sympathize with, but will believe. And that's really the most important thing. We want to write believable characters, whether they transform, whether they don't transform. I hope that this has helped. If it has, please hit the like and the share button. Please subscribe to my channel and return next Friday for my next writing tip. I look forward to seeing you, reading your comments. So please comment below, and I'll see you next week.